For some, they're hauntings from the past still haunt them today.
There is a poltergeist attached to me.
It was right up in my face.
What was that?
The Shadow Man came back.
What the?
When I tell you I was terrified, I was terrified.
My name is Courtney, and this is my story. I was an only child growing up. As a child, I was shy. I kind of kept to myself. The things that I most loved doing as a child was writing. And that kind of goes hand in hand with being shy. I wrote down the things that I was feeling instead of saying them out loud.
You ready to go inside?
We had a pretty normal life, single mom and daughter. I worked a lot. I hoped for stability.
Yep. Okay, get your stuff.
Moving into this new house was a new beginning for us. It was our first home. It's just her and I. We were looking forward to a fresh start, a nice house, and just kind of starting the rest of our lives together.
But as soon as they move in, something is off.
Courtney and I started experiencing some odd things. The dining room light would go all the way on and then all the way off.
Mom! It's not working.
Jamie assures her daughter
I'll fix it.
that there's a logical explanation.
My dad had done the rewiring of that house when I moved in there. So, of course, when lights started flickering, he was the first person I was calling and asking, is something hooked up wrong? But everything was good.
But something else isn't fine.
We would always have anxiety in the house that something was around.
We would hear a lot of noises. Sometimes you would feel cold air on the back of your neck, just weird heaviness in the house.
I always felt like something was watching me.
One night as Courtney finishes her homework, the disturbances pick up.
The television turned on by itself, and it was static. So that just added more fear.
There is something causing this bizarre activity. What they don't know is that it's one of Courtney's secret hobbies.
I was researching spirit boards online. I didn't tell my mom that I was using that stuff because I didn't want to get in trouble.
The spirit board, if you are not familiar with it or not trained, can actually be a very dangerous tool.
One time I had my friend sleeping over. We started playing with the spirit board. I didn't think anything bad would happen because I never read anything terrible about it. We would just play it late at night when nobody else was awake, so nobody else knew.
You have to be careful with anything that has to do with the paranormal. That could leave doors open to different types of entities, different types of spirits. Could be malevolent.
Are there ghosts here? Are we alone?
We just asked it random questions.
Are spirits real?
Courtney doesn't realize that playing with the spirit board is causing the activity at her home. And on this particular night, something dangerous comes through.
I started to get this eerie feeling that something was in my room. And all of a sudden, I feel this burning sensation on my shoulder. I kept feeling it there, burning. I asked my friend to look at it. She said there's 3 scratch marks going down your shoulder.
Take a picture. Ow!
She took a picture of it on my phone at the time.
Oh my gosh, that's you.
That's when I started to feel physically unsafe. Suddenly, my friend and I heard an overwhelming evil voice.
Courtney doesn't know how to protect herself or exactly why she needs protection.
The next day, the scratches were gone. They disappeared off of my shoulder.
Her confusion and fears grow as something else disappears too.
My whole phone wipes everything. All my pictures are gone. Now, I didn't have proof that this happened to me. And that's when I started to get nervous, because if it has the power to do something like that, then what else can it possibly do to me?
A few nights later, she finds out.
Suddenly, the lights just go out. Instantly, I froze. I was home alone. My mom was at work at the time, and I didn't know what to do. I was already terrified of the dark. I looked out the window. My house was the only house on the block without power.
Hello?
I called my mom, crying.
She was panicking.
Power's out.
I thought there has to be an explanation.
I can't see anything.
Courtney's mother tells her to check the fuse box.
I'm gonna come home immediately.
You're gonna be fine. So I opened the basement door. It was really dark down there. All of a sudden, this deep voice right in my face says, "Destruction." It sounded evil, really demonic. It was the worst, the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced. The night I lost power, I feel like I lost hope. I was terrified that the voice that said destruction was referencing my own life.
I knew that I had to get home because something was happening and she was scared.
What happened? Okay, I'm here now. I'm here.
Something was targeting Courtney.
Whatever is targeting Courtney is getting more and more aggressive.
One night, I started walking down the stairs. I just felt an overwhelming sense of cold and evil. And all of a sudden, it happened so quick. This rod comes crashing out of the ceiling and flies right past my ear.
It missed her head by 1/4 of an inch.
My mom, I remember her running, trying to figure out like what just happened.
Are you okay?
And that was the first time that I witnessed something actually physical happen to her. I was scared for Courtney. I didn't know why she was being targeted, but I knew that we needed to do something to get some help and find out.
Jamie calls in paranormal investigators.
When the paranormal team came out for the investigation, the psychic medium did not know anything about us, knew nothing about our case.
But she knows exactly what is going on in the house and why.
She's been playing with spirit boards.
I hadn't even told her that I had been playing with that kind of stuff, but she knew it somehow.
Is it true?
Yes.
The psychic medium said that by dabbling with spirit boards, Courtney has invited paranormal activity into the house. She was able to tell us that the voice stating the word destruction was actually my grandmother trying to warn Courtney that she was causing her own problems and destruction by using those spirit boards.
The investigator sense another presence in the home.
We know you're here.
The medium did confirm that there is a poltergeist attached to me.
They had picked up on what sounded to be a child's voice.
I think you're trying to reach out to somebody. That's my gut feeling.
It was mind-blowing to me. There was no little girls in the house.
After doing some further investigation, the medium said that a 5-year-old little girl had died in that house in 1905. She was unable to cross.
You know, it's right at the top of the steps. You don't have to go far. It's right there.
The investigators communicated with the spirit that it was okay to let go and it was okay to cross over.
Crossing over means that we are leaving the physical world to go into the spiritual world. If a spirit needs help crossing over, I think they're afraid to see what's on the other side.
It's okay for you to pass.
After the medium cleansed the house, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. The medium told me a poltergeist can be physical with you. It all makes sense now that I'm looking back on it, that that's what was happening to me.
From that point forward, we never had any more experiences.
The poltergeist activity stopped. I never touched a spirit board again. I was the one responsible, really, for allowing that in. It was me that did it. After my childhood experience, I definitely have a lot of respect for the paranormal.
My name is Dan, and this is my story. As a child, I loved my house. Our neighborhood was fun. Our family was awesome.
Danny. Oh, God.
We did all the things that families do, play games and this and that.
Danny was a very interesting, fun boy. He was always very imaginative.
I was a typical kid.
A typical kid with typical fears.
I would get scared easily.
Danny was always afraid at night. He often needed us to stay with him, just until he fell asleep.
I was very afraid of being in bed alone with the light off in the dark.
And one particular night is more unsettling than the others.
I was lying in bed trying to go to sleep. Then all of a sudden, I had this horrible feeling. It was like the whole mood of the room changed. Like the air got thicker. Everything just looked weird. I knew I was in my room, but it was unrecognizable. I got the feeling that the dimensions of my room were changing. The walls looked far away, or they looked really close up. All the dimensions of the room, and even myself, were off. Almost like a carnival mirror. It didn't make any sense to me, so it was disorienting.
Mom! Dad!
I'd call for my parents.
I would tell him he's just having a dream. And he's just afraid of the dark, like many kids are.
To help calm his nerves, Dan clings to a prized possession.
My mom made me a quilt. That was my favorite blanket. The quilt gave me lots of comfort just because it was my special blanket.
It doesn't get better. It gets worse.
Later that night, I woke up and I was coughing.
Dad.
I called out for my dad. I saw his shadow come into the room.
What's up, buddy?
Can I get a glass of water, please?
Coming right up.
I heard him go down the hall to the kitchen. But his shadow didn't move. It was like he was still standing there. I'm hearing my father get the water in the kitchen, yet I'm still seeing his shadow in my bedroom right in front of my eyes. The shadow looked just like his outline, but when it started to move and crouch down, it wasn't like my dad. I leaned forward to get a closer look. It was right up in my face. I instantly jumped back, just chills going through my body. I knew that's not my dad, that's something scary. And in that exact instant, my dad was handing me some water.
That better?
I thought, I can't believe what I just saw. I didn't tell anybody because I thought it was too weird and no one's gonna believe it. It's something I remember vividly to this day.
The episode with the shadow figure scars Dan emotionally, and perhaps also physically.
Come on, we need you to get strong.
Shortly after I saw the shadow impersonator, I got very sick. I was getting high fevers, I coughed so hard, all the whites of my eyes turned red because the blood vessels broke. Always nauseated, always feverish.
Please, you have to eat.
Medicines weren't working, penicillin wasn't working, antibiotics. It was like my entire immune system shut down.
Hang in there, buddy, okay?
Really worried.
Burn it up.
Doctors couldn't figure it out. No one knew what was wrong with me.
Entities can affect a child's health and well-being. In Dan's case, he became very ill because that entity got closer and started absorbing his energy, and this is what made him sick.
It got really bad. Nothing was helping at all.
Call the doctor again.
I was just sick, deathly ill.
At one point, I worried he might not make it. It was the scariest time of my life.
But 3 months into his illness, something even stranger happens.
I was lying in bed, and I was staring just around the room waiting to fall asleep, and something caught my eye. It was a 2-foot-high woman with a veil on her head, and she was spinning slowly, like the way like a ballerina would spin in a jewelry box. I was like, you're seeing this thing, it's real, why aren't you afraid? And I wasn't. I stared at her for at least 15, 20 minutes. She was moving, turning continuously. And I felt this sense of peace. I don't really remember if she faded away or if I faded off to sleep, but I cannot deny what I saw.
Dan's different when he wakes up the next morning.
I saw this thing in my room, and the next day I was on the mend. Saw the shadow, got sick, saw this veiled woman, and I got better.
I'll let you sleep, bud.
I think she was his guardian angel. I told him at the time when he was little, oh, that's a good thing you saw that. That's your guardian angel.
It is definitely possible for a spirit to heal a child, as in Dan's case. Children are very protected, so guardian angels, they're able to help the children in distress.
I finally got the okay to go back to school.
Let me get one picture before you go.
He dressed all extra special that day, and I said, I'll take a picture of you before you leave.
Ready?
I had my little lunch pail and my hat on.
Say cheese.
I took a picture of him and sent him off.
Life is back to normal for Dan and his family. But along with his health, something else returns too.
Shortly after I got better, strange episodes in my room where that feeling or that presence would distort my perception came back. I started hearing footsteps. On the kitchen floor, someone walking. And then I heard the footsteps come towards my bedroom. I would just clench up and I'd feel those goosebumps through my body thinking, is it gonna come in my room? Is it gonna come in my room? But it would stop short and I would turn back and repeat the process. All night long.
Sweetie, did you sleep okay?
After a few nights of hearing footsteps, my mom said to me one morning,
Danny, do you ever hear footsteps at night?
He said he did, and I was very surprised that he did also. The footsteps went on for several weeks. It was making me a little scared.
When my mom said, do you hear walking through the kitchen and hallway at night nonstop, all night long? It became real, and then it became more terrifying. Because now I know it's not just me.
When he told me he heard it, I thought, that's scaring him even more because it's headed for his room.
Dan's mom wants this to stop, especially for her son's sake.
Hello?
Emily thinks the footsteps seem familiar.
I was listening to the sounds thinking, boy, that sounds like my father walking in his dress shoes, just continuously pacing and pacing. My father had died when I was young, and he never did see his grandchildren. And I always thought of him hearing those footsteps.
Dad, that's you walking around. Please, I need you to stop.
I said out loud, Daddy, if that's you visiting, would you please not come around because Danny's getting really scared. And you should go.
you to go. Please, Dad. We love you.
We never heard the footsteps again.
When the footsteps stopped, things settled down. I thought I was in the clear.
He is, for a few years, or so it seems.
But then something happened again when Dan was a teenager.
I woke up early in the morning, and then something caught my eye, cornered my eye. I saw a silhouette of a man standing by my dresser. And then, just as I turned to look, he ducked down. I'm staring at my dresser, and I see his head kind of peek out, and he started to creep towards me. Very threatening, very menacing. Chills, adrenaline, every emotion you would feel when you realize there's someone in your room with you was terrifying. And I tore the blankets off, ran out of my room,
Dad.
went to my dad. There's someone in my room. There's a man in my room.
What?
My dad ran into my room right away. He checked the windows, he looked under the bed, he checked the closet. And he said, there's no one in your room.
There's no one here, son. The room's empty.
It's empty, there's no one here.
There was someone here.
It was pure terror. And right away I thought, this is that thing that I saw when I was a kid. It was that same shadow that was creeping around, silhouetted, no defined features, just a shadow. The Shadow Man came back. That morning that I saw that thing in my room permanently changed me. Shadow Man is still creeping around the shadows. I never again went to bed with the light out, and I never will. That's my reality.
Dan hasn't seen the Shadow Man again. But a few years later, something else from his past turns up.
We're looking through old photos. And my mom hands me a photo. And she says, oh, look at this.
It was a picture of him that I had taken on his first day back to school in front of the mirror.
What is that?
There's a weird thing in the mirror behind you.
What is that?
I'm looking at it and I'm seeing this veiled woman that I saw in my room in the mirror behind me. When I saw the photo, I thought, okay, this veiled woman was real. Now there's photographic evidence.
Looks like someone's standing. Is it behind us?
Spirits show up in photos like the one in Dan's case because they are moving so quickly, our naked eye can't pick it up, but a camera lens will.
This veiled woman, that's what I saw in my bedroom. It was almost like seeing me off to school. You're healthy, go.
I still think it's his guardian angel.
That was maybe something that helped me get well. Maybe still looking out for me. I have no idea. But it's a nice thought.
My name is Ed, and this is my story. Growing up, I was a pretty rambunctious kid. I played sports and I hung out with my friends.
Mom, I'm home!
Ed, as a younger child, was a very loving, funny, active child.
Hey, Mom.
Hey, Chad, some more.
He loved anything to do with wrestling. He just loved it.
Got ya.
Dad, you always win.
Maybe one day, buddy. I promise.
He was always a very happy kid.
But a cloud hangs over Ed's happiness.
The house that I grew up in when I was a kid never gave you like a good feeling. There's always been a negative energy in that house. There's something strange going on.
Specifically in his bedroom at night.
Nighty-night, sleep tight, Eddie.
I would hear footsteps, cupboards opening and closing. I felt uneasy. I would get this fear in my room. And my stuffed wrestling toy was something that I would cling on to as a kid whenever I was feeling scared.
Young Ed needs it, often.
One night, I was trying to go to sleep. But there was a weird feeling in my room. I'm hearing these noises.
Who's there?
It literally sounded like metal hitting rock. Like a pickaxe hitting stone. Ding, 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 and this would go on for hours.
Mom!
There was something weird in my room making this disturbing noise. I was full on scared because I didn't know what I was dealing with.
Mom, it's happening again.
When I tried to talk to my mom about this,
Honey, get back to bed. Come on.
she didn't believe me. She just played it off like, oh, it's nothing, don't worry about it. Old pipes.
I really didn't give it a lot of thought. I didn't realize that Eddie was as upset about that ting, ting, ting as he was.
You okay?
I wasn't taking the things that were going on all that seriously.
Ed.
I didn't feel any kind of energy or worrisome thoughts or anything like that. So I figured he was a child that had an imagination.
It's all in your head.
Ed, no more of this nonsense, you understand?
All I know is that I was experiencing these things in my bedroom where I was scared and nobody seemed to validate or have similar experiences. My stuffed wrestling toy helped give me some kind of strength.
The bizarre sounds haunt Ed for several years. But it's only after he turns 15 that the real terror begins.
I was hoping that the activity was gonna stop or not be as bad. Being that I was older, it only got worse. One night, while I was trying to sleep, it felt like the whole room was just bad. There was something very dark, very evil in my room that did not like me.
With each passing second, the negativity in the air increases.
And all of a sudden, from head to toe, it was like electricity shot through my body. Instant fear. It just felt like there was something 2 inches from my face. I'm terrified to even open my eyes and see what's there.
And when he does, what Ed comes face to face with is not of this world.
I saw this demon-looking thing above my bed, looking right at me. This ugly, evil-looking thing that was just like snarling. I could almost feel the breath on my face.
From there, things escalate as the demon gets dangerously close.
This entity got very violent with me. I had been punched directly in the face. It was right here. It was just like someone came in this way and just clocked me right in the nose. When I tell you I was terrified, I was terrified. I woke up in the morning with bruising, a swollen face, scratches, I was petrified from head to toe.
A spirit has to be very powerful to be able to leave bruises or scratches. They're probably a very old entity and have been around for a long time and able to utilize this power.
I tried to talk to my parents about this.
Hey, honey.
Hey, Mom.
How was wrestling practice?
Hey, champ.
But they didn't believe me.
He described to me an entity that was very negative. He felt threatened, and that when he was sleeping, the entity was doing things to him. He did have marks on him that I chalked up to the wrestling, you know, being active, being children. We were very close, Eddie and I, but I just couldn't wrap my head around what this kid was telling me because I had never felt or seen anything. I didn't believe him at the time.
For Ed, there's no escaping this trauma.
It was every night, all night, for hours on end. Sheer terror. I can only describe this entity as pure evil. If it can punch you in the face and it can leave scratches, what else can it do?
Oh, please help me, God!
And that's when the praying started to come in. Even though I'm not an overly religious guy, I would have to say prayers over and over again because I was so terrified. Whatever I could do
Hail Mary.
to get it to stop.
I pray for protection.
And it never stopped.
I pray for your help.
I felt very alone as a teenager.
Oh, God, please, no! Please help me, God!
He stopped telling me a lot of things because I wasn't listening.
In terms of my parents. There's no point in trying. They're not gonna believe me anyways, so what's the point? Living with this constant fear and constantly questioning yourself, it can drive you crazy when you're dealing with this and you're alone.
Why are you doing this to me?
I would scream and yell, talk to whatever it is to just leave me alone. But it wouldn't.
Hail Mary, pray for protection.
Ed prays for a reprieve, and he gets one in an unexpected way.
Ed! Eddie! Ed!
Smokey! Hey!
How you doing, Eddie?
When I was a teenager, we had a family friend named Smokey come and stay at our house from out west.
Smokey's gonna need the bed for a couple nights there, buddy. You're out on the couch.
My dad said Smokey's gonna stay in your bed and you're gonna crash on the couch.
It's just a few nights, honey.
Yeah, it's all yours, Smoke.
And I was cool with it.
Thanks, Eddie.
Because I'm hoping something's gonna happen to him and then give me some validation.
As morning breaks, Ed wakes from an unusually calm night.
It was a pretty normal night, nothing extraordinary.
Perhaps for Ed, but not so for Smokey.
In the kitchen, I saw Smokey. He was sitting there like this, having a cigarette, and he was white as a ghost. I will never forget the look on Smokey's face. He was not the manly man that I was used to seeing. He was scared, petrified. The look on his face was how I felt sleeping in that bed at night.
I looked at him. His eyes were so swollen. I said, Smokey, what's wrong with you? And he proceeded to tell me what had happened to him the night before. He said that he was laying in the bed and all of a sudden he couldn't move.
What the hell?
And he could feel these big hands pushing on his heart. He just couldn't get away or move. And then this crushing weight. And then being pushed off the bed and thrown on the floor. He was terrified. Absolutely terrified. He told me he was attacked by something with big hands wavy hair, heavy brow, and a prominent nose. He said that it went on all night long, up until the morning hours, and he could not do anything about it because he was paralyzed. I didn't know what to think. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But I didn't disbelieve him.
He had had a significant paranormal experience. It was very vindicating to me.
Hey, honey. I'm just so sorry I didn't believe you. Sorry. So sorry, sweetheart. You must be so haunted by this.
I still regret that I didn't take him more seriously, because it has stayed with him his whole life.
Ed no longer lives at the house, and while the entity has never harmed his parents, whenever he visits, his fear returns.
I believe the spirit or entity is definitely there today. I still, to this day, have not experienced the kind of fear that I had as a teenager in that bedroom.
And one day, Ed hopes to find out who haunts it and why.
When my parents move out, I will do an investigation, but I will not do one under any circumstances while they are still living in that house. When you start asking questions and you start looking for evidence, you stir things up.